I would like to acknowledge all Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander peoples, past, present and emerging, as I am recording on Wurundjeri country. Thank you for joining us.
Marmalade and coffee black. Lesson plans are on the stack. Ready for the students' track. Gonna find our groove.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Stranger in the Staff Room, where myself, Ms. Zamet, or Zoe Zamet, as everyone else calls me, see what I did there, I am a first-time teacher and I am sharing lifelong stories, including the one today. Now, if you're wondering, if you're a regular user and you're wondering, why is there a focus episode? Last episode, Zoe spoke about what her plan was for the rest of the year in terms of the episodes. Yeah, it's because I wasn't expecting this one. I am just as shocked as you are. When I created this podcast, I wanted there to be a lot of transparency and vulnerability in my journey in becoming a teacher and being a new teacher and being a stranger in the staff room. So then anyone listening who is in the same position knows that it's okay to have the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I think the best way to start this focus episode is by playing a voice memo I recorded literally half an hour after I got my original Gtpa results. Hey, so that's all right. You can walk around to the audio's going to be, he's not trapped. He's just, you're an idiot. Ignore that. That's just Pierce. Anyone who knows him, he's my partner who's supporting me at the moment. Good friend of the show. Anyway, the audio's crappy because I am recording on my phone. When I started Stranger in the Staff Room, I promised myself to be transparent in the good, the bad, and the ugly. And here's the bad and the ugly. And no, it is not my dad singing in the background, if you can hear that, surprisingly. It's pretty ugly. Yeah, so I just got my Gtpa results back and I got a 3 out of 5. So that means that I need to do a resit of some description, and, you know, that doesn't seem like the end of the world to a lot of people, especially if you have failed things before academically. This is just a new feeling for me because I've been fairly, academically successful, and that's hence why I want to be a teacher. So it really hurts that the one thing that I'm on the brink of failing is to do with teaching. Like, I don't feel capable right now. I really don't. Everyone's going to tell me otherwise, but like I said, this is a new feeling I'm going through and it really sucks and it's making me question everything. Yeah, so I still find that Gtpa episode I made valid because it is what made it easier for me to get through, especially when I'm an overthinker. It really did help, but I'm hoping to clip on an extra bit, like an extra little tidbit, once I've done this reset on what brought it from a 3 to a 4 or 5, to help you guys out. Because, my heart is in teaching and this sucks. Like, it sucks. And I'm trying to find, I guess it's normal, but I'm trying to find ways that it's not my fault. You can't always blame other people. You got to reflect. I thought I'd just keep it really transparent with you guys, and hopefully I have a positive update after this. So yeah, speak soon. Yeah. I was a mess and a half. Now today is actually the day that I resubmit my Gtpa. And so now that I've gone through the rewriting process, I was like, you know what? Let's use this as an opportunity because, like I said, transparency and vulnerability. Not everything is sunshine and rainbows in getting your teaching degree. So for anyone who received a 3 out of 5 on their Gtpa, let's go through this together. Here are a couple of tips that I think helped me a lot in going through this rewriting process.
Through the highs and through the lows, we're the ones who always show, building worlds and making glow. the dreams that they pursue.
Hopefully through that little music break, you got your teas and your coffees, your pens and your paper if you're wanting to take down notes on this focus episode. I am going to start off with what tips I put on an Instagram post. So you can see that at Stranger in the Staff Room. Just a little swipe through, similar to the Gtpa for Dummies that I've pinned on my Instagram. I'm going to pin this as well. So it starts off with great. I got a 3 out of 5 on my Gtpa. Now what? If you're wondering what it is called. So the first tip I have is just to breathe, or do whatever it is that helps you cope healthily. Like, oh my God, I was an emotional roller coaster when I got the news, because I said to Mum, I was like, I'll be happy with a 3 out of 5. And I'm usually a high achiever. I'm like, I'll be happy with a 3 out of 5. I was really doubting myself. And Mum's like, but you said you'd be happy with a 3 out of 5. And I'm like, I was joking. I thought I was going to get a 5. So I was really numb at the start, and it was really annoying because we went to go see Cold Chisel. My mum, my dad, my boyfriend, and our family friend. We all love Cold Chisel, which, if you're not from Australia, is a huge Australian band from like the 70s. I'm so obsessed with them. And we were going to see them that night. So I was like, oh my God. And I don't usually cope with things quickly. If I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling sad. If I'm feeling happy, I'm going to talk your ear off for hours and hours on end. Like, I just feel things long. I feel them prolonged. So as soon as I got this news, I was just like, I'm going to be so shitty at this concert, and I don't want to ruin anyone else's time. So I was very numb doing my makeup. I put my headphones on because the world just became too much. And I started doing my makeup, getting ready. My boyfriend was really helpful. And after like a couple of minutes of listening to a podcast or something, I literally just turned to him and started crying. And I was like, I'm so tired. Or that's all I could get out. I was like, I'm so tired, because I was meant to be done with my assessments. Like you guys heard in the last episode, I was meant to be done last week. And I was just like, I'm so tired. I don't want to go through this again. Then we ran late for the concert, which made me really, really anxious. And then I got to the concert and I had to go to the toilet and just like scream in one of those portaloos. I wish I was joking. So it was an emotional roller coaster. I went from numb to anxious to sad to angry the day after. Was it day after? No, a couple of days after. So I got the news on the Friday, and then on the Monday I was able to do our second tip, which was meet with your lecturer in charge. So obviously it depends with different unis what your systems are, but my uni, you get an email from your lecturer in charge or whoever's in charge of your Gtpa unit, like for secondary, primary, early childhood sort of thing. They're split into 3. The person in charge, so for me, secondary, they sent me an email being like, hey, you got a 3 out of 5. You're entitled to a 30-minute feedback session, because you get feedback on your Gtpa written, but it has to be very broad to keep it standardized. So this meeting is to make it specific. I need specifics when it comes to feedback, because I like to think that I follow everything to the T. So if you're just like, you need to work on punctuation, I'm like, yeah, but I did that. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas if you're like, in this paragraph here, see how you should have put a comma in there? I'm like, oh, right. So yeah, I really, really needed that. So organize that meeting as soon as you can. I was the very first appointment. I just said to her, I'm like, I don't care what I'm doing that day. We need to meet. And I got my notebook and my pen and I was ready to go. And my lecturer in charge, I was really nervous because the only times I've met her was like middle of the year and then on Zoom meetings, because obviously we're at placement. So I was really nervous, and I'm very sensitive to criticism. I'm a lot better now since being a teacher and being an actor and all those sort of things. You get used to rejection and things like that. So, but it still hurts, still stings. So just take the meeting and ask every single question, like every single one, even if it is, do I put my name on the top of the paper, or like something stupid like that. Just ask it, because you're trying to achieve what everyone else has already achieved, like to be blunt. So you want to do it. You want to know, you want to get in the mindset of someone who already scored that 4 or 5 out of 5. So I sort of alluded to this in the last point, but the third point is to take notes during your meeting. So bring the notebook and a pen. If you have a big enough book, maybe even divide your paper into 5 sections and just write dot points on the feedback. And then you can sort of use that as a checklist. That's what I did. So I dot pointed everything that my lecturer in charge said, and once I added it or took it away, whatever, in my GTPA, I highlighted that dot point to say, yep, I have made an attempt to do that. And that way the broadness is disappeared even further. It is more specific to me. And that, I think, was a genuine lifesaver. If I went into that meeting with no notebook, I'd be gone. I have the memory of Dory. Like, it's redonkulous. So my third tip is just as simple as taking some notes. I am 99% sure that regardless of where you study and what state you're in and all that sort of stuff in Australia, you will get a week to do the rewrite. So from the time of your meeting to the due date is 7 days. So my next tip is 1 day equals 1 practice. So for example, on the Monday, I had my meeting with my lecturer in charge. On the Tuesday, I worked on planning. On the Wednesday, I worked on teaching, so on, so on. Now, you're probably thinking, Zoe, there's only 5 practices and there's 7 days there. Exactly. That's the point. Because life happens, and especially because this assessment is most likely going to be due when all of your uni friends are done with uni, you're going to want to catch up with people. You're going to want to love life, and you're going to have to cope healthily with the thing that you're going to have to go through. And my 5th one is to check formatting before you submit. I was way too brain dead to even re-look at my GTPA when I first submitted it, and it bit me in the ass, I'll be honest. The submission system that my uni uses, you can actually download what your markers saw, and half of my evidence was like off the page, and I'm like, I could have looked at that. Like, that was as simple as glancing over it. Submit your goddamn GTPA as a PDF, please, and check the formatting, because I'm pretty sure I failed one of the needs because they couldn't read my evidence, and that's heartbreaking because they could see that I've done the work. They just couldn't see where. If you're going through the whole GTPA rewrite situation now, you probably heard those 5 tips and your head is swimming and you're just a little bit overwhelmed, and that is okay. Right now, we're going to take a break. So feel free to pause and just take a moment to scream into your pillow, journal, do whatever it is to just calm the mind. And we'll come back, and I'm going to give you 2 more tips that is exclusive to the podcast because you are awesome listeners, and I want to thank you so much for listening. So don't go anywhere.
Through the highs and through the lows, we're the ones who always show, building worlds and making glow the dreams that they pursue.
We are back, baby, and I have the extra tips for you extra special people. So, continuing on with the focus topic of getting a 3 out of 5 on your GTPA. My first exclusive tip is to use subheadings. Now, I know a lot of you will probably be thinking, no it. Well, I was so stressed and brain dead that it made more sense to just put slabs of information. Now, a quick hack for this, just in case you missed it in your informative sessions on what the GTPA is, your marking criteria, so your criteria specifications page, and each practice's what do I need pages have the exact same dot points for a reason. I didn't make this connection at first until my meeting with my lecturer in charge, and she's like, do you know which dot points I'm talking about? I'm like, no, what do you mean? I use this thing as a Bible. And then she showed me, and I was like, oh my God, it is that simple. So this will make more sense with your GTPA PST booklet in front of you, but I will see if I can attach a copy of the GTPA booklet in the show notes. I will work on that. So then you can see those dot points aligning. Use those as your subheadings. Break up your information. Now, if you're anything like me, reformatting it in this way is going to be I will be completely honest. I literally sat there most of the 1 day per practice that I did, and for 15 minutes I'm like, I can't reformat this. I don't want to. This makes sense in my brain, and that is it. So yeah, it's horrible advice, but you just have to start. And That might mean rewriting passages. That might mean copying and pasting sections of paragraphs because it fits exactly with the subheading. Like, that's okay too. So I would highly recommend doing that, because then from a marker's perspective, and I did understand why my lecturer in charge said this, from a marker's perspective, they can see exactly what you're trying to do for each section. They're not trying to do the guesswork. And after how many GTPAs they have to mark, they can't be fucked with guesswork. So highly recommend that. The second exclusive is to find a study buddy. Now, I'm not sure if my study buddy is listening to this, because I have told her about the podcast. So if you are, hello girl. So what happened is, on a Facebook group for the GTPA specifically that I'm a part of, an anonymous poster put up and said, I got a 3 out of 5 and I'm from ACU. I'm absolutely shattered. Like, what should I do? Basically just seeking out advice. And I was like, I'm in the same position. So I I commented on the post and I said, hey, I am in the exact same position. Feel free to message me. Let's get through this together. And they did. So for the whole week, we were sort of checking in with each other. How are you going? What practice are you up to? Have you slept tonight? No. Have you eaten tonight? No. And we actually checked in on each other and reminded ourselves to look after each other. And then, like I was saying in the previous tip about having those 2 extra days off, we swapped our GTPAs with each other and marked them. We got ourselves to read the other person's and see whether they've hit the criteria this time around. And because you get so brain dead after the rewrite and how big this assessment is, that is really, really helpful. I cannot stress it enough. And if you're thinking, I don't want people to know that I've, got a 3 out of 5 on the GTPA, or, I don't want to reach out to my friends because I don't want them to think differently, like, that's okay. I was in the same position. That's why I didn't ask any of my teacher friends for help. And it was just a coincidence that this person put out a post. She did it anonymously. So on Facebook groups, you can put out an anonymous post. And if you're thinking, where do I find these Facebook groups? Start off with your university. Your university might have a sort of social page, and then that could branch out to faculty pages. And you know what? Even if you're struggling with that, Stranger in the Staff Room now has a Facebook community filled with teachers. You can join that. Feel free to invite whoever you like. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We talk about everything teacher-related, non-teacher-related, because we're humans as well. So you could literally post anything, and as long as it's respectful, I'm going to approve it. And you can do anonymous posts. So feel free to reach out for help for a study buddy there. Okay? We're all here for you. And then even if you can't find a partner in there, I'm sure one of our lovely community members can forward you on to someone or some other Facebook group. Okay, I won't take up too much more of your time because it is a busy, busy time if you are rewriting your GTPA. If you're looking for more tips, feel free to go back to my other focus episode. If you go to the Stranger in the Staff Room Spotify page or YouTube podcast playlist and you look up GTPA, it should come up. And there are extra tips per practice that I used when doing my first writing session. And hopefully that gets you through. Feel free to leave a comment on any questions or queries. Feel free to join the Facebook community to, keep in touch and find your study buddies there. And yeah, thank you so much for helping me to create such a comfortable environment where I actually can be vulnerable and transparent like I've always wanted to be in teaching. Yeah, it's not an easy thing for me, I'll be honest. I've been sweating this whole time. I do not want to look at my underarms because there will be sweat patches. But it's all thanks to you guys for creating such a lovely community that I am so proud to be a part of. So future episodes are going to be as planned, and yeah, I will keep you updated on the result of my GTPA. This is Stranger in the Staff Room, over and out.
Teaching vibes were in the air, sharing knowledge everywhere, guiding young minds with such care. This is what we do.